2/3 of us have more fat than we need, and we are getting fatter. If we're all getting fatter, then what we've been doing up until now, that is calorie counting, is ipso facto clearly not working. And the so-called experts telling us what to do are obviously undeterred, not only by the experience of millions of individuals who have tried a calorie-restricted diet and failed, but also by the overwhelming body of scientific evidence that proves it doesn't work. Here are 5 very compelling reasons and the science behind them as to why calorie counting is a waste of time and why the calorie-restricted diet should be allowed to die quickly and painlessly. Firstly, a calorie is specifically a unit of heat energy, and it is the amount of energy that is required to raise the temperature 1 gram of water through 1 degree Celsius. Any particular food can indeed be assigned a calorific value, and this is done by taking a set amount of that food and igniting it, and then from the energy released, measuring the rise in the temperature of a set amount of water. But this is in no way a representation of what actually happens in the human body. Firstly, the food gets digested in the gut and gets converted into other compounds. These compounds, once they are in the human body, do not necessarily go to the cells for immediate utilization as an energy substrate. And indeed, when they are in the cell does not ignite them to release purely heat energy, as would happen in the laboratory. So to equate a physical property with a biological process is fundamentally flawed. Put simply, the body doesn't measure things in calories. Secondly, the calorific value of a set amount of food is reproducible in the laboratory because the process by which the various food types are measured calorifically is the same. However, the human body reacts completely differently to the different classes of macronutrients. So the way that the body handles carbohydrate is completely different to the way that it handles protein, which in turn is completely different to the way it handles fat. Thirdly, the cause of obesity, or lipodeposition as I like to call it, is intimately related to the development of insulin resistance. The development of the latter is of course related itself to the insulin response, and the amount of food that we consume is of relatively low importance. Of much greater influence is the type of food that we consume, in particular refined carbohydrate, and of most significant influence is the frequency with which we consume it. Therefore, to blame obesity on calories alone is totally illogical. All weight loss methods will fail in the long term unless the underlying problem, namely insulin resistance, is fully addressed. Number 4, calorie counting, which appears to be an integral part of nearly every weight loss program, introduces a very bad psychological relationship with our food. If we are constantly looking at the food that we eat and trying to determine whether it is going to be good or bad for us based on how many calories it contains, then this makes for an extremely unhealthy relationship, to the extent that we end up by hating everything that is on our plate. It should, of course, be completely the opposite. We should be able to look at our food and see it as both a celebration that we share with our friends and family and a prize for the hard work that we have put in to producing it. It is a crying shame that for the vast majority of our food, it is none of these things. And finally, number 5, even if everything was equal, for the calories in versus calories out concept to work, the individual would need to know what their calories out figure is. This is impossible to measure in a practical way for all sorts of reasons, and varies enormously between individuals and with individuals themselves depending on what they are doing. The best analogy of trying to lose weight by reducing calories is trying to control the speed of your car by putting less petrol in the tank. It's a ludicrous oversimplification, even for a car, let alone the human body, which is far more sophisticated. If you want to lose weight, ditch the calories. Just do the Nastia formula. It's nothing more complicated than that.